People say that social media is for the young. Isn't it? Nope. Welcome to Nerdopause.
Hello. It is I. I am back. Today I'm eating chicken noodle soup and talking to you for a few minutes. We made an offer on a house, which was accepted a few hours ago. Now, we know from a few other times here that having your offer accepted doesn't necessarily mean the house is going to be yours yet. However, this house does have a few more things going for it. A, it's less likely to turn up a bunch of stuff on inspection since it was just rehabbed. B, we're going through some people who aren't necessarily emotionally invested in the house, so they're the people who rehabbed it. So I'm thinking maybe it'll be a little more streamlined, but we have every reason to be optimistic that this would go through. I will be more effusive once they actually have all our money, because then it's kind of a done deal. But I will say this: it is very cute. It is a good size for us. So, if you should choose to visit, we would have an actual guest room. Although the guest room may not have a bed right away. So, if you visit us, you could be sleeping on the floor for a while. Unless, of course, I win, the Jewel Osco sweepstakes and have money to buy, a bed. This is very good news. So, we're on the right track. And tomorrow I will go give them some of our money. And then if that all goes through, and we have the inspection and blah, 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 yada, 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 then we'll give them the rest of our money. Yes. I'm going to have some more soup now. Does it make you uncomfortable to see me eat soup? Do you not like it when I stare at you as I eat the noodles? And make noises like that? If this were ramen, I'd do a good, appropriate slurp. I would like to talk about being somebody who grew up in the 70s. I was born at the end of 1966. So my childhood was pretty much the 70s. What does it mean to be a child of the 70s? Well, I can't speak for all the children of the 70s. I can only speak for me. And my childhood was a little weird, but not so weird that the touchstones weren't there. 1970s was a big TV generation. Now, this is a picture of your usual 1970s television set. This is a color TV. I remember when I was very young, it was a black and white TV, and then we got a color one. These were major pieces of furniture. These weren't flat screens. They weren't even the tabletop models. They weren't the one, they were big. It was like taking a clothing dresser with drawers, taking out the drawers, and throwing the guts of a TV in there. Many times, early on when I was very young, the piece of furniture was the same size, but the screen was really small. And so you sat staring at it like this, and it was a habit that people growing up in the 70s maybe never quite entirely got over unless we really consciously moved back. Um, you know, you're going to see people on top of the TV. Like, this is a telephone from the 70s. These were, of course, hooked by wires, by the telephone wire, so into the wall. So that spiral cord, of course, you could only get so far, and then you had to walk back. So if you were a pacer like Bob is, and paced around as you talked, then you would get tangled in all the furniture. And we still had phones with wires and cords for a long time, well into Bob and I being in a relationship. And so he did get tangled up in the furniture, and it was really funny. Kitchens looked a lot like kitchens now, except everything you might notice a theme here. Brown and yellow, harvest yellow is the name of it, harvest gold, orange, kind of an olivey green. These are the 70s colors. And a lot of the things from the 70s had these colors. It was a popular color. So it was like the stainless steel appliances, the state back then, harvest gold, if you can believe it. So kitchens, harvest gold. Plates, dishes, come on. Plates and dishes had to be the good colors too. Harvest gold, olive green, cream, gotta stay in the popular colors. In the 70s, Yeah, there were computers. Um, and by the time I was, conscious of computers being around, we had things like this, which is the Apple One. I'm going to focus on Apple because we're a Mac family, but these have the 5.25-inch floppies. Computers were big. Within my lifetime, we went from a room-sized computer to this, and smaller and smaller and higher power, and now you got this. This is really mind-boggling. I mean, I don't think about it on a daily basis. I don't pull this out of my purse and I go, "Oh my gosh, I'm holding a miracle." But if I start thinking about my childhood, this really is an incredible thing. Back when I was a kid, our computers filmed around. We had dial-on rotary phones. My beloved Taco Bell looked like this when I was a kid. Someday I want to do a coffee table book. I want to do a coffee table book where I take pictures of all the different things that these Taco Bell restaurants have turned into. And there are 5 within driving distance of me right now. Ow, I just hit my ankle. Ow, 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 ow. Iconic, very recognizable. For those of us who grew up with Taco Bells looking like this, very recognizable architecture. Okay? I would, and these things were huge, so let me know if you have some kind of epiphany. But wouldn't it be awesome to have one of the Taco Bell signs? Like just there, like just half of it. I don't want the whole neon thing because I'm not going to light it up, but just one side of it, just on the wall. I think that would be really, really funky. No, it would horrify Bob and probably everyone else, but I think it would be a nice, like, retro thing to have. Please notice the sign out front of this Taco Bell, 19 cents, I believe, taco. 19-cent taco. That's how old I am, folks. Yeah, I remember when tacos were 19 cents at Taco Bell. Of course, as a kid, uh, little kids, young kids wanted this. Young kids wanted a big wheel. Now they had the green machine, which is a big wheel, except you did it with levers instead of handlebars. But this was the hot thing to have if you were a younger kid. And the commercials would show kids just roaring down the street because there's nothing making this thing quiet. If you were an older kid, you wanted one of these things: the chopper bike, banana seat bike, and this is, it's got the flowered seat, the banana seat. It's got the big handlebars that you had to be careful because if you hit something, there is nothing stopping you from doing a face plant right through the goalposts of those handlebars. Tangentially related, of course, toys. Now, as a girl who did have Barbies, here was the big controversial item of my childhood. This is Growing Up Skipper. So, you'll notice if you look carefully at the little ad, it's 2 dolls in one. It is a little girl, and if you turn her arm this way, boom, she goes through puberty. I wish it were that easy. I was so curious, I took her apart. Very traumatized. Very traumatizing experience because you kind of know it's a doll, so it kind of know that it's not going to work that way with humans, but you take the skin off of everything on this doll, and it's disturbing. It was controversial because it's kind of like when they did Pregnant Barbie. Do kids really need to know about real things that are, stepping stones that they're going to face? And of course, the popular answer with a lot of people was, no, don't tell kids about reality. Um, you know, I think now it's corny and weird. But back then, it was kind of like this little glimpse into something that no one really talked about in comprehensible terms. So I included Growing Up Skipper. She had some friends too, but they didn't get as popular as Growing Up Skipper. 70s food. Now, I could just make a whole thing about 70s food that doesn't exist anymore. You can't tell me that any pudding, like lunchtime lunchbox pudding now exists that is as pleasing as Hunt's snack pack puddings. Kids of the 70s, stand up for me here. You pop that can open. For one thing, you're sending kids to school with a razor sharp can lid, but you know they did a lot of things in the 70s that they wouldn't do now. So you pop open that can of pudding, just that sound. I can't even do it right, but it's just anticipation. You get that, and and there's the pudding. And you endanger your life by licking the pudding off the can lid, so that you might cut your tongue off, and that's part of the joy. Will I bleed today? You put the can lid down where somebody can step on it, put their hand on it, and you just get that first spoon of pudding. And then when the pudding's all gone, you try to lick the pudding out of the can without cutting your tongue off. It's just delicious, preservative-laden, sweet pudding, all combined with danger. Very 70s. And it says it's child safe lid, don't believe it. Another one, and these were kind of like the all-in-one diet food kind of craze. They were called figurines, and they were supposed to be meal replacements or low-calorie snacks for people on diets who are drinking tab soda, um, was the 70s diet soda of choice. But I really liked these. They were kind of like those cream wafers that they sell, except a little bit more tasty. Um, and they came in little packets, and they were easy to carry around, and they're crunchy and sweet. But figurines, delicious, solid diet food. I mean, you put this on an ad now, who would eat it? Delicious, solid diet food. What? What? I'm not eating that. What is it? Brick of junk? I don't know. I just thought I'd add this last one because there are going to be people who see these little coffee huts on parking lots and they don't realize where they came from. These little coffee huts that you see around once upon a time were how people got their film developed. These places took your address and you paid for your pictures and you chose what kind you want, black and white or color, and then you would come back and pick them up. Those of us who grew up in the 70s, you're welcome. Most children aren't self-aware enough to get really introspective about the forces that made them who they were, but they will remember their favorite toys and their favorite foods. They will remember the things they grew up around. And now when I am with kindergartners or first graders, and I bring in a rotary telephone, I mean, some of them don't even recognize a VHS tape. They don't know what that is. Some of them are young enough, they don't know what a CD is. So many things are now pumped virtually to us that a lot of them don't recognize even a CD and sometimes a DVD. Times change. They really do. And it's really weird to be sitting here at this point in my life. And as I've said before, not feel inside like I've changed that much, but really starting to recognize that the world is spinning by. And my starting point is getting much more distant with every passing day. That's not a sad thing. It's the way it's supposed to be. But it is a crotchety old mindset. And I'm going to have to start talking like this. See? I've bored you long enough. Until next time, be nice to each other, take care, and stay nerdy.